I hope the audio quality in this video is better than the last one, because if not, this is going to be hell to listen back through. Also, sorry, my throat is a little sore, so my voice will sound funny while talking in this. Hello, I go by Gummy on the internet, and today I will be sharing to you all about my OC's lore. You might have seen them in some animation memes that I made on the channel, though I'm pretty sure no one knows anything about them because I've never talked in detail about them here until now. I'll be going over the general idea of the story as well as what is the role of each main character in it. I already planned on showing the speed paints of the redesigns I made while I talk in this video, but they looked really ugly, so I made some new drawings to showcase their designs. I hope this will be a way to help motivate me to start actually planning something bigger for them, or at least draw them more often since I do love them a lot. With that out of the way, enjoy the video. I've had these characters ever since I was 11, and at the time I thought I was so smart coming up with my very original story, but looking back at it now, I can say it was clearly a ripoff of Undertale. It had the same premise as the game, with the whole war between monsters and humans, and even the separation to avoid further conflict stuff. It had the monsters living in a cave in my old story. It was the same plot. Thankfully, I did realize I was just rewriting a less better version of Undertale and reworked the whole thing while still keeping the core of what it's supposed to be. Accusations started to get thrown towards the other groups so as to pin the blame, which ends up creating a catastrophic war that the two other divinities had to take action, and the best solution they could come up to stop it from worsening is to separate the two species so as they may never interact, and to trap their younger sibling into a glass stone as punishment for killing their mother and making the rumors spread like wildfire. We now jump forward into present times, where we follow along two of our three protagonists: Kit, a young optimistic artist that always tries too hard to make everyone happy, and Alice, a tomboyish mechanic that isn't afraid to pick a fight if needed. These two are humans that were accidentally sent into the beast side when they were children and have since survived until their teenage years by stealing as well as living in abandoned areas so as they don't get caught. The effects of the war and blame from thousands of years ago are still present. It's like a what if Luz from the Owl House never got taken in by Ida and everyone hates humans. They've been trying to find a way to get back home ever since they first arrived, but because they've been stuck there with little to no hope of ever returning back, they sort of just abandoned the idea. It's better to make the best out of their situation rather than risking getting caught by the beast. That is until one fateful night where Kit was wandering outside in the alleyways where he overhears about some sort of artifact getting traded that apparently is the key to travel between worlds. Now, Kit isn't stupid. The idea of a random rock being able to help him and his best friend, the person he had trapped into the situation in the first place, is an absolutely ridiculous idea. But then again, there was a possibility that it could be true. And worst case scenario, it was all fake and he could sell it off so that they could have enough money to survive for the next month. So shenanigans ensue, with Alice finding out that Kit had sneaked out without telling her and coming to the rescue for him, only for the two to get cornered and beaten up. In a moment of desperation, with the open wound on Kit's hand swallowing the stone he had stolen and seeing his only friend about to die, the divinity of lies appears before him and strikes a deal. They'll help get the two of them out of this mess, but in exchange, Kit will have to find the divinity's body so as to give back his eyes and free him from his prison. That's pretty much the hook of the story that I've come up with, without revealing too much, but yeah, Kit ends up being a vessel of sorts for this literal god child, and the adventures these characters would go through would all be done to bring the two amigos back home. As I said before, Kit is optimistic to a fault. He tried his best to make sure that everyone isn't left out or is unhappy with what is going on, to the point that he sort of neglects his own health. The guilt of trapping Alice with him, even if it was an accident, is already making him lose sleep, but add in the fact that he's now forced to deal with a chaotic evil being in his dreams is not helping. He's my favorite, so he gets all the chevaliers. When I first made him, his personality was much more pessimistic and cowardly since his whole gimmick was that he was deathly afraid of monsters, hence the title TERAPHOBIA. I found it hard to write him as a protagonist that way because he always came off as a jerk, so instead I switched it so that I could have more fun writing him. He also used to be incredibly pale when I drew him for the first time. Nothing made him look like a person of color at all, so I'm glad that I changed that pretty early on and gave him some messy curly hair as well to show some whimsy. His outfit is made to help him move around, to help run around in, and I used a lot of bright colors because Kit likes feeling cute. He's allowed to feel cute in this sort of traumatic situation. He made his jacket by hand, so it is one of a kind, and his shoes were made to leave paw prints behind so that no beast folk would be suspicious. The scars on his hand is based on my own, though it's a lot more exaggerated. I was panicking about maybe losing my hand when I got the cut because of all the blood, but I also thought at the same moment that this would be a cool thing to add to a character. For Alice, she is very headstrong and will not hesitate to call you out if you're being a crappy person. She has the weapons to win any argument, either with her snappy words or with literal bombs she made out of junk she stole. She built her motorcycle in a cave with a box of scraps. She used to be a lot girlier before this all happened, but because of the environment they got thrusted into, she was forced to swap out dresses that made her feel pretty for more convenient clothes for the sake of survival. She's still upset that she basically lost her best supposed years, but tries her best to not blame Kit since they're all they've got now. Alice used to be a boy in the first draft, playing as only the goofy emo best friend to Kit. There was no substance, no pizzazz, I needed more. The crazy part is that he then transitioned into a them before landing on a she, so take that as you will. The outfit is based around mechanics and being grounded, so a lot of the concepts for the redesigns are what I imagine someone to wear if they work in a garage or something. I landed on a jumper that I don't know why gives aviator vibes, which I'm very happy with. She looks so confident and pretty, oh my pretty little princess. I'm glad that the things that stayed with her all these years are her gloves and goggles. That's what makes her Alice in my eyes. Fun fact about that tooth gap, she got it while trying to wrestle with an old lady for the last can of corn. And lastly, Lucien, who only shows up later down the line, tries to act serious and responsible because that's what a knight in training is supposed to be. But he's ultimately still a teenager that struggles to interact with people his age because he's introverted and collecting pebbles isn't as cool as he thinks it is. But after finding Kit and Alice and deciding to pretend to help them in the hopes of getting praise from the higher-ups, he's going to learn more about the story of what caused the death of the original goddess, as well as find out where he's from, and maybe perhaps develop a small crush on a certain cursed human after a very messy fight between them. Mayhaps, we'll see. Lucien is the one that changed the most from all my characters, starting out as just a random tween with elf ears in a world where everyone else in his village has scales or claws. He said and did things that were very cringy, in my opinion, like, because I love you, you don't understand. I want to bleach it out of my memory. No. Instead, I turned him into a furry. Specifically, a cat mixed fish creature. He's a lot smaller and weaker than what your average beast folk is supposed to be, and almost everyone says that it's most likely he was the rut when he was found as a toddler. Here are baby pictures if you want. I love him to bits. Because I gave him some fur patterning as well as some fishy elements, his clothes are simple so as to not make me go crazy while I animate him, but I made sure to make it flowy to give him some form of grace that parallels his fighting style. I imagine it being similar to Pearls from Steven Universe, with using a spear and being quick on your feet. Oh, that was a lot of information, but I think I got the most important things out of the way. I don't know when I'll do something bigger with this story. I still have a lot of things for this world that I haven't managed to put into writing or drawing. I would love to make a show or comic about them someday, but it demands a lot of time and investment that I currently do not have right now. So for now, I'll just make silly animation memes with them for the time being. If you managed to stick around this long, thank you for listening to me ramble about my fictional children. They're very dear to me, and I might make another video that explores their world a little more, if that's something people want. If you want to support me as well as get some cool pretty art like the ones in my video, I opened art commissions. You can go to my social medias linked to my YouTube channel to see the details and DM if you're interested. I also have a ACG goods store for Cookie Run and Gachiakuta merch for those that want any as well, with more stuff to be added later down the line. Any support is much appreciated, and all the money will go towards helping me finance for college at this current moment. As for the next video, I'm planning a rather big project, so we'll see when that will be out. Hopefully soon, I don't know. Hope you have a wonderful day or night, and remember to lock your doors. Bye bye!